You're listening to the Law Lives Project. I'm your host, Angie Vishianan. I'm a lawyer that launched a startup focused on changing the legal profession through mentorship. Through this podcast, we will explore the early career steps of real lawyers to help students see that many of us didn't have it all figured out at first. It takes time to find your way in the profession, so we want to shed light on some of the challenges people face in the earliest part of building their careers. Each week, I sit down with members of the legal profession and chat with them about the paths they took to get where they are now, including the times they stumbled, the times they fell, and the times they needed a little help. To encourage candor and vulnerability on this show, the attorney guests will remain nameless, but their stories will be laid bare for your consideration. This episode is sponsored by Velocity LSAT.
Have you ever noticed that people who succeed at the LSAT become taller, better looking, and more fun at parties? That they have the uncanny ability to juggle and are graceful ballroom dancers? Well, if you want to succeed at the LSAT, Velocity LSAT has got you covered. Velocity is the online video course taught by me, Dave Hall, the guy with all the 180s. At Velocity, we guarantee you'll hit the 99th percentile or improve by at least 10 points, or we'll keep working with you until you do. Law Lives listeners can get half off your first month's installment or $100 off of a year's subscription. Just enter code LAWLIVES, LAWLIVES, all one word, at checkout. Enroll, get more details, and get our contact info at velocitylsat.com.
Today's guest is a civil litigator. We'll discuss his career path from law school to working as a personal injury attorney. We'll also touch on his experience of attending law school while working full-time as a teacher. Let's dive right in. Can you tell me what were some of the reasons that you decided to go to law school?
For a long time, I've heard that being a lawyer would probably be a good fit for me. The type of person I am, how I like to argue, the way I argue, the way I'm able to articulate arguments. And so people for a long time have recommended that. And ultimately, when I graduated from my undergrad, I got a recommendation from my professors to join, to apply for law school at UT Austin, and I got a letter from them saying, hey, go ahead and apply. And that's when I really got to thinking that maybe it would be a good area for me to go to.
Okay. Did you have anybody in your family who are lawyers, or did you know any lawyers before going to law school?
No, nobody in my family is a lawyer. As a matter of fact, my dad and my mom didn't do any kind of higher education. My oldest brother did, then my other brother did also, and then me, but no lawyers.
So who told you that you should be an attorney? How did they know?
So my brothers did, my friends in school did too, colleagues at work, stuff like that. It just kept coming up, here and there. So, that's a great argument. You should be a lawyer. I keep hearing that through the years.
Okay. And how did you pick which law school to attend? Did you only apply to UT?
No, as a matter of fact, that's one of the few law schools I did not apply. I got an invitation to apply, but I did not apply. And I left it alone at the time. When I finished my undergrad, at the time, my wife, we had moved down south. I went to UT Pan Am. And we moved down south to finish school, and we did that for about 2-3 years. I finished, and she was ready to come back. Okay. And so she's like, no more school. I'm done with this. It's a lot of work, so you need to go ahead and get to work. And so
start making some money.
Yeah, she's like, I need to get out. I can't be with the kids all the time.
What was your undergraduate degree in?
It's a bachelor's in business administration.
Okay.
It's a BBA.
How did you decide on what law schools to apply to?
So the rule of thumb was any and every law school that was free, right? So because of my scores and my GPA, I got a ton of offers, for free applications. They waived the fee, and every single one of them that waived the fee, I took the time to apply. I applied to a ton. I was not very picky. I would have gone anywhere. If one law school in Alaska would have taken me, I would have gone to Alaska to take my law school. So I did not. The only one I paid for is the one I ended up getting into, which is Texas A&M here in Fort Worth.
Okay.
So and it was just a matter of proximity. So at the time I was divorced and my children were here, they're nearby, and I didn't want to leave to New York or Louisiana or anything like that.
How many law schools do you think you applied to?
Oh, I would say I applied some like 20 of them maybe.
Yeah.
I applied to all over. And as a matter of fact, I got 2 full scholarships.
Okay.
Offers. One to, I think it's called Hofstra, New York, and then one in Louisiana. And that's why I was thinking, well, if I'm going to move, that'd probably be the ones to move to, right? Because it's a free ride. But I applied everywhere, Oklahoma, Houston. I applied to every single one. I'd say maybe about anywhere between 15 and 20.
Okay, and it was all based mostly on geographic location. You didn't think about, rankings, or didn't think about practice areas, or...
No, it mattered to me little. I did some research a little bit about law schools altogether, and at the time there's some like 98 law schools in the country. Whatever school I picked was going to be in the top 100.
Right.
And so it seemed to me that even the lower tier law schools would be pretty good. And of course, I was just excited to get in. So yeah, I just applied to every free application that I could.
If you could have picked a different law school than the one you went to, would you, and why, in hindsight?
I would have picked SMU, Dedman School of Law. Number one, because I love the campus. It was a gorgeous building and gorgeous grounds. I really liked it. 2, because it's very close. 3, because it's a great reputation, near here. A lot of people don't realize, but SMU actually puts the most millionaires out as far as lawyers go. And so it's a good network. And so if I'd had my choice, that probably would have been the one.
Did you participate in any extracurricular activities while you were in law school, like moot court or law review or clinics, or?
No. So I attended evening school. I went to the evening program. I was a full-time teacher at the time.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so I was a full-time teacher during the day, and I had my kids every other weekend, so I'd never stopped working. And so
That'd be hard.
Well, yeah, it was not.
No?
There was nothing to it. I mean, every time I asked me if law school was hard, it was not hard for me. It's not hard work, it's just a lot of work.
Yes.
And so teaching was hard. Teaching has always been hard. But I had gotten the hang of it by the time I started law school.
Okay. How did the part-time program differ from the typical JD program?
I wouldn't know. I think the day program was what I would hear from the professors is that it was a younger crowd. So the kids were a little younger, with a little less life experience, and it was faster.
Okay.
So because we didn't take as many classes, right? So we did have to take a few classes in the day program because they only offer in the day program. But I really don't know how much of a difference it would have made.
Okay, but you weren't able to participate in the same extracurricular activities, or were you?
It was open for me, but I did not. And I know several of my friends did. They had a schedule that allowed them to do it. I did not.
Okay. So what jobs or internships or activities did you do during the summer between your first year and second year?
I did 2 of them. I worked this summer with the Houston attorney who is a general practitioner. He's a solo practitioner, and he did immigration, criminal defense, personal injury. He did a little bit of a few of those, family. And then for my pro bono work, I worked for the Dallas County Defense, the defense office.
Okay. And had you developed an interest in litigation at that time? Is that why you chose those jobs? Or?
Yeah, well, both those jobs had an option to go to court, and that was important for me. I felt like if I want to be a lawyer, I really need to be in court at least once in a while, right? I don't want to go to trial every week, but I do want to go to trial once in a while. And so both of those had an opportunity to do that. I did that both in Houston, and I certainly did it with the public defender's office. And that was a lot of fun.
And do you remember how you applied for those jobs? Did you do it through your law school, or did you find a job posting? Or?
The job in Houston, he's a friend of a friend. Well, he's the brother of a good friend of mine from my undergrad. Okay. So she's a close friend of mine. Her brother's an attorney, and I floated the idea. She's like, absolutely, and he was more than open and very, very helpful. Awesome. And then over at the public defender's office, they told us, hey, they're always looking for people. For interns, so that'd be an easy way to get your internship time done, and you can get that done. And I did. They were very welcoming.
So what types of work did you work on while you were at the first firm? And how big was the firm?
Yeah, so it was just him and maybe 3 paralegals. So we did family, we did a divorce, a contested divorce. She was fighting for sustenance. She was fighting not for child support, but for spousal income, immigration, lots of criminal defense, and one premise liability injury claim that he was working on. So that's kind of, I was out there for a week, and that's kind of the gambit of what I saw. The public defenders,
only a week?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, only a week, but it's a full 50 some hours because I was out there. I was there for the whole day and some. Yeah, and then the public defenders, that one went, I don't know, maybe about 4 or 5 weeks. But it was a lot less every day. So I used to be there maybe, 3-4 hours a day.
Okay.
Something like that.
And then what types of things did you see?
So domestic violence, felony possession of a weapon, felony possession of drugs, possession of drugs. What else? There was several domestic violence. That's what I can think of.
And what types of projects did they have you working on? Research or memos or what?
So I did both. I did some research. I was doing research on the copyright infringement law, people selling DVDs that are, no good. I did some research on what kinds of possession of a weapon. And we did a motion to suppress on that one. I drafted that, and I floated it. And I actually came up with the cross for the police officer. That was kind of like a big deal because we actually got the weapon suppressed, and the guy got to go home that day, and he was looking at 8 years.
Wow.
So we were able to get him to go home because the police were not entirely truthful about their investigation. So that's kind of the most exciting one that I did over there, and it was a lot of fun. I really, really considered doing that.
Yeah. Okay, so you considered doing it, but what did change your mind?
And so, much like in law school, I was very practical about getting a job. I was not being very picky at all. So I applied everywhere. I applied at the district attorney's office, at the public defender's office. I applied at some immigration firms. I applied at several personal injury firms. I applied a whole bunch.
And was this for your second summer?
No, this is for my actual work when I graduated.
Oh, okay. Let's backtrack then.
Okay.
What did you do in the summer between your second and third year?
I don't think I did. I only did a summer on the first year and a summer on my third year. I don't think I did anything on the summer second year.
Okay, and then for summer or third year, then what did you do?
Those are the only 2 things I did while I was in law school.
Okay, so the public defender was your third year?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay. All right, I thought both of those were your first
year. No, I did public defenders on my last, which would have been my third year. And then on the first summer, I'm pretty sure it was the first summer, I did the solo practitioner in Houston.
Okay, all right. So since you were doing the part-time program, it was 4 years. So you had the summer program in Houston with the firm your first year, and then in your third summer, between your third year and fourth year, it was the public defender.
That's what I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Now, I took summer classes also.
Yeah.
So I didn't slow down much.
Right.
Yeah. And I was able to because I was not working as a teacher, so it gave me the freedom to do that.
Oh, that is true. That's
so it kind of worked out.
Yeah. Okay. So can you generally describe what practice area that you practice in now?
Right. So I do personal injury law. It's civil litigation. There are several causes of action that we use to get at, those kinds of recoveries. And most of the stuff there is litigation.
Okay. By and large, what types of specific cases do you see?
So all injuries mostly will be, we have the slip and falls, people falling, people getting hurt at work, motor vehicle accidents. Sometimes we see intentional ones like assault. We see dog bites, premise liabilities, people, garage falling on people. So anything that where people, get hurt, we're there. I would say 90% of them is motor vehicle collisions.
And are you mostly plaintiff-side or defendant-side?
100% plaintiff-side. You can do both. It's against the rules. But yeah, we do 100% plaintiff-side.
Okay. Do you think you chose correctly to love this type of law, or?
I think I got so lucky that I got this job because I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love the side that we're on. I believe the arguments that we present. I like that we're helping the people that are hurt. Just last week, I went in for an investigation and a sign up in one of the towns nearby for a death case, and they were saying that our guy was at fault because he got in the middle of the road in the bicycle and that he shouldn't have. And the family wanted to know what happened, right? And just because I showed up and I investigated the case and I took the case and I started asking for cameras and I started asking for the police, and just because we did that, the insurance company turned around and said, hey, we're going to give you the policy limits, And it's not a lot. It doesn't replace a life, but you get to tell, people say, they admit that they were wrong. It was an accident and here's a little something, right? And that's just, nothing beats that.
What's your current position and title?
Right, I'm an associate attorney.
Okay, and how long have you been in that role?
This past January was 3 years. January is 3 years, 4 months, something like that.
So you're still considered junior, mid-level, right? So,
I would say so, yes.
So what are the types of tasks that you perform in that role?
Right, so I do, like I said, most of the litigation. So most of our cases don't go to litigation, meaning we don't file a lawsuit. We generate maybe 100 to 150 new cases every month. And out of those, once we negotiate with the insurance, they'll settle. The few that do not settle, then they go into litigation and we file a lawsuit, right? And that's where I step in. So most of the lawyers, they're here, they negotiate the cases. Once the case gets to a point where it's not going to settle, in negotiation, we'll file a lawsuit. Often that triggers a different adjuster and an attorney on the other side. Before there's a lawsuit, there's no attorney on the other side. But once you file the lawsuit, then attorney gets it. And depending on what insurance, what attorney, what adjuster, they'll reevaluate the case and raise the offer. Most of them will settle in that part. If they do not settle, then you get answer discovery. They have to answer discovery. It goes into a deposition, and then we have a mediation, and then the rest of them will settle mediation. The very few that don't settle in mediation will go to trial. And
so you do support for all of that. So you help draft the initial pleadings. You do draft discovery.
Right, so for the nuts and bolts of the actual, how it happens, right? So we have a system called needles, right? And any mid-firm to large firm will have something, right? And I can generate a petition with its, discovery and file it within probably 15-20 minutes. If you're a brand new lawyer, I think filing a petition will take you maybe 3 days. Between finding where you need to file and the choices and your venues, the jurisdictions, the limits and damages, all this stuff. It goes so much into it. But with my stuff, they're so experienced that I can have a suit within minutes of me making my mind up. And so the system generates it for us, and they review it. When it's ready to file, it's send it for me to look at, and I'll go over it. I'll check all my points, make sure that everything's on point, and then we'll file the lawsuit.
And they are the partners?
Yeah. They is the paralegals. The paralegals are the ones that do all that. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. So I decide if the case is going to move forward for litigation. Once I do that, then they'll draft the petition and the discovery. They'll send to me, and then we'll file it. And all of that is online filing too, by the way.
Right. What types of clients do you mostly work with? Are they all individuals? Do you work with some, small businesses or employers or anybody?
Me personally is all individuals. Now the firm does handle. So we have basically 3 sections. We have corporate law side, the personal injury side, and the real estate side.
Oh. Okay.
And so that corporate side, they have several accounts that they handle.
How much of your time would you say you spend interacting with clients versus doing the substantive, drafting and research and all that?
I would say I meet with clients just about every day. Yeah, I've had a client this morning. We did a deposition. In all last week, I was pretty booked. I think I meet with clients every day. I think I mostly am doing client work, going to hearings, going to prove-ups, filing motions, arguing motions, and then the trials. The trials take a lot of work. So I think the bulk of my work is there, to the point that the other side kind of takes a backseat. Answering emails, looking at documents, answering messages within our system, calling people, adjusters to negotiate. That kind of gets pushed back a little bit because I'm always dealing with clients and the other attorneys that are trying to kill our case.
How much of your time would you say you spend in court?
I also go to court at least once. I'd say in a month I will go to court 3 to 4 times for hearings and motions and that kind of stuff. Trial, I'd say an average anywhere from 7 to 10 trials a year.
Okay.
So you can say you can average a trial maybe every other month.
Okay. And is any of your practice transactional?
Yeah, so absolutely. A lot of times you settle, and it's all just a matter of drafting, making sure the release is up to par, they're not asking for too much, finding anybody who might have a claim to the release, relatives that might, be undisclosed, that kind of stuff. When there's minors involved, you got to go to court and you got to involve other people. So there's plenty of transactional stuff.
Okay. So what are some of the best things you like about your job?
I guess really nothing really beats a good verdict. Nothing really beats a verdict. There was a trial that I had this January, and really liked the guy, super nice guy, and he'd been there in that town, I don't know, for like 40 years, and the guy that T-boned him was a brand new kid in his college town, and so he was absolutely adamant that my client had run the red light, and I knew we hadn't, and that was very upsetting. And I've been dealing with that for a long time, and during the deposition I was upset, during the mediation was upset. The offer was so ridiculous, so they were really mean to my client. I was really upset. And so when we went to trial and we won fair and square and we got everything we asked for, and the opposing counsel was so upset, that's like, it's just nothing really beats that. That's the best part.
It's a euphoric feeling, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what are some of the worst things about your job?
The hardest part is managing client expectations. That is really difficult part. Now, everybody feels that their life has been suffered a great damage to them, right? And sometimes you need to be able to talk to them and let them know that while to them is a great damage, to 12 jurors is not going to be. Right, 12 jury panel is not going to see that your life changed forever, that the interruption to your job, they're not going to see that. They're going to see somebody who's healthy, who's walking around, who's fine, whose damage don't look excessive, and they're not going to do for you what you think they're going to do for you. And so that's the hardest part. Some people feel like we're the enemy, right? Because we're lawyers, right? And we're not fighting for them. And we're just trying to tell them what we think the jury's going to do. So that's the hard part.
And what are some things that you wish you knew about your practice area when you first started working in it?
I think I had a pretty clear, very good idea what it's going to be like. And it was exactly what I think it was. There's nothing that I overcalculated or miscalculated. From
That's
the beginning.
pretty rare.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people in law school have no idea what they're getting into.
Yeah, no, I knew what it was going to be like. I knew it was going to be... This is basically my first office job. Before here, I was at a classroom, and before the classroom, I was at the warehouse. So I've never worked in corporate America. But I knew that it was going to be a tremendous amount of paperwork, and that in the other time I was going to be dealing with clients and depositions, that kind of stuff, and it's exactly what I thought it was going to be.
So what are some things that you think other lawyers don't understand about your practice area?
Oh, how complicated civil litigation is. No idea. They really think, people here say, well, it's a personal injury attorney, covered lawyer. Psh. You have no idea the amount of work that it takes to go after an insurance company and get them to fold. It is a lot of work, and you really need to do. And insurance companies have a lot of money, and they spend a lot of money on their litigation teams. So there's very capable attorneys on the other side. Very capable attorneys. And if you don't do everything you're supposed to do, they will kill your case in half a second. So I don't think they realize how much it goes into something like this.
How many hours do you typically work in a week?
I'd say I do total anywhere on a light week, something a little over 40. On a heavy week, maybe around 60.
Is that billable hours, or is that not billable included?
No, so for me, I'm straight contingency.
Okay.
We only collect if we win, and if I don't win, I don't collect. So the times that I've lost, I've had 21 trials and I've lost 3, and I drew 1, so really it's like 4 losses. Those were complete hits for a firm, because it takes us about $2,000 to $5,000 to take a case all the way to trial. Mm-hmm. And if you go to trial and lose, that's money you lost. Mm-hmm. And so if we don't win, we don't make any money. I'm particularly 100% salary, so whatever my case goes, I'm still get paid, right? But the firm makes money only if we collect money.
So do you have a billable hour requirement, or how is your performance judged?
Right. So I have a total amount of fees that they would like me to collect by the end of the year.
Okay.
Right, and that's it. So if I hit it, then I get a bonus. If I hit so much money, I get the bonus. If I get this so much money and whatever. So I know just about how much I have to settle or collect every month to get to where I need to be.
And is the bonus set, or is it discretionary?
So it is set contingent upon how much I collect.
Okay. And how is your performance generally evaluated? Like, how often are you evaluated?
Once a year, but it's kind of on the run. Mm-hmm. You know, you go to trial, they're gonna know how you trial did, right?
Sure.
They're also gonna know if you settle cases. You go to mediations and you come back and you talk about them. When you get, certain cases settled, you let them know, hey, this one's settled and that one's being collected. Or when you get it close to a big trial, like, okay, we have, they've decided to give us more money. Should I try it? Should I take it? So as we go along, they know how you're doing.
Sure.
In addition, the partners will hear from other attorneys.
Yeah.
How you're doing, if you're doing your job properly, if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. They hear from mediators. Like, hey, Rolando was nice. He was very presentable and very nice to work with. And so that's kind of how they keep their ears on you. The formal evaluation is once a year.
Okay. And do you actually receive written feedback, or is it usually just, how is it conducted?
Yeah, there is, the only written one is when we're kind of hashing out the actual salary and the bonus. So we do exchange some emails on that one. As far as the actual performance, no, it's very informal. Okay. You sit down with the partners, they go over the stuff you did and how you did, and anything they like you to improve on, and anything they want to congratulate you on, and that's it.
How many partners do you report to?
So I report to 2 partners mostly, which is the ones that are on the personal injury side, but in there are 4 partners.
Okay.
And I report to 2.
Okay. 4 partners in the whole firm?
4 partners in the whole firm.
Okay. And how are promotions determined for your position? How is partnership determined?
Right. And so we have talked a little bit about the long-term strategy for the firm. There's nothing really. We don't have a human resource department for the lawyers.
Okay.
There is for the paralegals, the case managers, and intake people, but not for me.
Okay.
So for me, is just basically is whether I'm a good fit for the team or not.
Mm-hmm. But there's not like a lockstep system in place where after a certain amount of years.
No.
Okay.
I guess I can sue them. I guess I can sue them.
And let's see. And what is the potential earning potential of someone in your position?
Right. I think the highest paid salary for somebody in a firm this size, we have about 10 attorneys, about 40 staff members. With the volume that I do and the fees that I collect, I think the maximum be about $150,000 a year.
Okay. As an associate?
As an associate,
okay.
Yeah. The other side, the opposing counsels that work for the insurance company, kind of top out around the same. They might make a little more, maybe $160,000 to $170,000. they often make more money than we do because they work for larger companies.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the maximum would be around 150 now. Anyway, I'm sure in the future it might change.
And what are some leading bar associations or professional organizations for your specific practice area or industry that you're a part of?
The very two big ones, so they're very useful and they're very active, is the Texas Trial Lawyers Association and the Dallas Lawyer Trial Association. So we're always talking to each other about rulings from the Supreme Court, about local rulings, about judges, about the civil procedure changes in the laws, and so we're doing a lot of stuff. And that may be another thing that lawyers don't realize. The law is not settled. By no means is it settled. At least not in our field, Brian.
Right.
It's dynamic, it changes, and it moves a lot. It's 80% settled. So 80% of the times we know exactly how it's going to go, but there's 20% that is always kind of moving. And so we got to keep our antennas on for the new stuff.
Yeah. So, and can law students join those organizations, or is it only
I think the only trial attorneys can. Then the Dallas trial attorneys and the Texas trial attorneys, I think you have to have at least a trial on there, or the potential of being a trial attorney. You have to go to trial.
So what are some things that law students can do to sort of meet people in your practice area in personal injury law if they're interested in getting into this area?
Right. And so I think there's lots of, I know that we've gotten a lot of interns. So I would say that personal injury is probably one of the biggest industries in law. I mean, you see the billboards everywhere. You see the commercials everywhere. You see, so I imagine there's a ton. Another thing you'll notice is that when you start visiting those firms, you can see that there's lots of movement going on and lots of people going this way. And so I think that if you are interested in being a personal injury attorney, you can get an internship, fairly fast. It probably won't be a paid internship.
Okay.
But it'll be an internship, yeah.
That's good to be honest.
Yeah. And if you do a smaller firm, you probably get to see more action.
Yeah.
So if you're a smaller firm, you probably get to actually go to the hearings and stuff with the attorney.
And so what character traits does someone need to possess to sort of excel in a position like yours?
Well, I wouldn't know, if I'm successful, really. I think I am. I feel like I am. I know the partners are.
Well, think about what it takes to do your job. And you can think about what the partners have too.
I think what we all have is there's a certain fight, inside, right? You gotta wanna go get this. You gotta believe in the cause. You gotta believe in your client. You gotta believe what the other people did wrong, and you wanna make them pay for it, right? And I think that comes across juries, right? And I think that's the most successful attorneys on both sides is people who really believe the cause. So you gotta really drink the Kool-Aid, I guess.
But anything like organization or assertiveness or oral advocacy,
right?
Or
I tell you
like
what. Yeah, I think organization is super key, and I know the people who have gotten in trouble is people who lose track of what's going on, right? So our practice is volume practice, meaning we're going to have a lot of cases, a lot of things moving forward. You have a lot of people, helping you. Let me see how many paralegals that I can access. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's like
oh my Lord.
8.
That's a lot. 8
paralegals at my disposal at any one point, right? And with all of them, we still miss things here and there, right? And so you really, really got to stay on top of read the emails, read your messages, answer, make decisions, don't leave stuff for later. Don't procrastinate, get on it right away. Make lots of notes. So don't trash your memory. So you got to be detail oriented. You got to make sure you use the systems. But I think just about anybody who's gone through law school will probably have a good grasp of doing that kind of thing. I would hope.
Do you have any advice for someone who wants to do personal injury law, a law student that wants to get into personal injury law?
I guess my biggest advice would be join a firm that's established, right? There is so much goes into, civil litigation that if you want to do it by yourself, I can tell you that the first year, they're going to hand it to you. The opposing counsels are trained people, and they can sniff out somebody who's green, and they will take advantage of every possible legal maneuver they can. They're merciless. They really are merciless. They will not give you a break because you're new, right? So in order to protect yourself and protect your clients, if you're going to do civil litigation, join somebody. If you can get into a firm, get into a firm, right? And if you're going to do it by yourself, definitely join the Texas Trial Lawyers Association, the Dallas Trial Lawyers Association, the Tarrant County Trial Lawyers Association, and really get familiar with the law, because there's lots of pitfalls in there, and it'll be a problem. So that's what I would recommend.
Perfect. You're a minority lawyer, correct?
I think so, yes.
And can you describe your ethnic heritage?
Yeah. My disadvantage? My disability? No, I'm a Hispanic male. I'm actually first generation immigrant. I was actually born in Mexico.
Okay.
And I moved to the U.S. in 93, 94. I was about 13. And yes, I'm Hispanic. I'm Mexican.
Do you feel like you have faced any particular challenges being a minority in the legal profession?
I really wouldn't know if it's affected me negatively, right? Because I don't know if I had been, let's say, a mainstream American, if I would have gotten any different job or a better offer, right? What I do know is that what has helped me is being bilingual. In the Dallas Metroplex area, there's a ton of Spanish speakers.
Of course.
And so that's helped me a lot to identify with my clients. So I think it's been a positive.
Are there any particular professional associations that you're a part of for Hispanic
Nope.
lawyers? Nope.
No, I heard that LULAC is really wanted to get into. I was a member for a little while, but no.
Okay. Do you know of any that are really active that you would recommend for students?
LULAC for sure. I think that's
What
the
is
one.
LULAC?
It's the Latino Union of Legal Advocates, I think.
Okay.
Right, and they're based here in Dallas, and they really are the biggest Hispanic organizations. They're linked up with the Mexican consulate and the Hispanic communities, and they promote leaders, and they promote business leaders, and so they do a whole bunch of stuff.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, that's all the questions that I have. So thank you so much for participating in the Law Lives Project, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. That's it for today. Thank you to our guest speaker, and thank you to all of you for listening to another episode of the Law Lives Project. If you're a prospective law student that's interested in speaking with attorneys one-on-one, check out leguplegal.com. LegUp Legal is an online mentoring platform that connects prospective law students with attorney mentors. Sign up for a membership today to learn more about the practice of law and see if it's a good fit for you. If you enjoyed this episode, I would appreciate it if you left a review on iTunes or any other platform that you're listening on. If you have any questions or comments about anything you heard on the podcast, or if you have ideas for guest speakers, please contact me by emailing me and my team at info@leguplegal.com. Thanks again, and don't forget to tune in next week.